Welcome. My name is Doug Lean. I'm the Manager for Economic Development for the City of Auburn, and we welcome you to another in our series of workshops. This one is going to be on the subject of marketing and promotions. We have speakers with us today that are experts in their field in General Marketing 101, and we'll work you through that process. We have another speaker, Tina, with us that's going to work with you and talk to you about website development for your company. And then also Cindy is going to talk with us about social media, the use of Facebook, and that area within your business. At this time, I'd like to give a thank you to Mayor Nancy Backus and the Auburn City Council for their continued support of this type of programming for our businesses. We think it's very important from new business and existing business success. At this time, I'd like to welcome Dan DeVries to us to talk on marketing.
Everybody, thanks for attending. So I was asked to give a talk on Marketing 101, and I started looking through some materials that I have, and it was a little bit dry. Some of it was a little bit high level, and I also teach marketing. So as I'm looking through it, I'm doing some brainstorming, and came across this great quote from a great movie, "Life is like a box of chocolates." And I said, well, I can probably one-up that, and I said, marketing is like a tub of Cherry Garcia. I know, I was looking at that. I must have been late at night, I must have been hungry, and I said, I think that would be a great topic. So I changed it to Marketing 101 a la Cherry Garcia, and that'll be my talk for today. So it's really looking at marketing, around this piece of ice cream, right? How do they go to market? How can you leverage those principles to market your own product or service? So I'm a marketing consultant. So I go into companies and tell them, hey, here's what I do, and the response back is always, well, I don't need any advertising. And I say, well, marketing is really more than just advertising. And that's kind of what this Marketing 101 is about, is what are the other aspects of marketing really that you need to consider when you're thinking about your own business. So kind of one way to look at it, and if you've ever taken a marketing class or a business class, they call it the 4 Ps. And that's kind of the basis for marketing. And we'll go through what that is today, a la Cherry Garcia, and then see how maybe that can apply to your business. So the first P is product. What is the product that you have? What is the product that you want to sell? And in this case, it's awesome ice cream, right? It's really delicious ice cream. I love it. Lots of other people like it, okay? What's the second P is price, okay? So I'll go into some more detail on it, but I would classify this as a premium price. Right? It's not low cost. They're not going on the cheapest ice cream. This is premium. Promotion. Okay, how do you let people know, that your product or your service is out there? Okay, so website, social media, which Cindy and Tina will talk about, and then TV, magazines, and I'll go into some more detail on this. And the last P is place. Place is how do you get your product to market? How do you deliver your product? So for Ben & Jerry's, there's Ben & Jerry's stores, there's grocery stores, they have their own catering truck, and we'll go into some more details on that. Any questions on this? Does this make sense? So let's talk about the product, really. What is it that Ben & Jerry's are selling, or what is it that you're selling? So it's really defining what it is that you're selling. So in this case, if you look at their website, they say it's fantastic ice cream. You have to think about who your target audience is, okay? So one way to think about that is it age and demographics? How old are the people that you are looking at? Cindy has a dive shop, right? So, and it's aimed at women. So, that's age and demographics. Okay, so for Cherry Garcia, is it male baby boomers who all like, Jerry Garcia and and the Grateful Dead? And that's something you need to think about for your business. Who is my target market? And how do you differ from the competition? We all have competition. I have competition. All businesses have competition. So how do you differ from it? Well, Ben & Jerry's says we're cool, caring, responsible. There's a whole Ben & Jerry's story, right? We started we took correspondence courses on ice cream. Then we, created this, grassroots ice cream company, and that's kind of their story. And then they differentiate themselves from the Haagen-Dazs, from the Tillamook's, and from the Kirkland brand ice cream. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Also, what's important is what's your portfolio. So you don't just want to have one product, right? You want to have a bunch of different products because sometimes someone may want something slightly different than what you offer. So you may have a premium class or a gold class and a silver class and a bronze class. So in this case, right, their portfolio they have lots of different flavors other than Cherry Garcia. This is Froyo Cherry Garcia or yogurt. And a very important thing to think about is they have this flavor graveyard. If you go on their website, these are the flavors that they had and didn't make it, but they keep it up there. And I say that's important because as you're developing products or services, it's important to understand what products and services aren't doing well and stop selling them. It's okay to cut a product from your portfolio that isn't profitable or that you're not doing a lot of business with. And a lot of companies forget that. They hang on to these outliers. They don't make money at it. Every time they have to build one or deliver that service, it's more expensive. They're wrapping $100 bills as it goes out the door. And then packaging. How do you deliver that individual product? Okay, so in terms of Cherry Garcia, well, you can buy it in pints, you can buy it in ice cream bars, cones and cups, and then you can actually get it catered. So how are you delivering your product or service? Are there different ways you can package it? Are there different serving sizes you can deliver? Do you give quantity discounts? So again, how do you define what product is or service that you're delivering? So let's talk about price. Now, not all of us are lucky enough to have products that will actually show up on Consumer Reports. So this is kind of interesting. This is a great data point when you look at how is your pricing compared to your competition. So this was rating, and Ben & Jerry's was number 1, Haagen-Dazs was 2, a company called Talenti was 3, and actually Kirkland was, I think, down around 18 or 19, and this is their ratings, which I'm sure has to do with how it was tasted, and then they do the cost. So you can see Ben & Jerry's is right up there with Haagen-Dazs at $1.03, and Kirkland is at 30 cents. So it's really good to understand how are you pricing your services versus how is your competition pricing their services, and understanding are you delivering what customers want. And so when I think about pricing, I think about a couple of key principles. Price on value, and that's real or perceived. And perceived value is a brand. I mean, all of us, whether we like to think about it or not, we'll look at a shelf and there's a brand we haven't heard of, there's a brand we have heard of, and we'll pay a little bit more for the brand we have heard of typically. Price should never be based on cost. This is one of the mistakes that I see. I do a lot of pricing work. This is a lot of mistakes that I see companies do. So if you look at the Kirkland Super Premium at 30 cents and you look at Ben & Jerry's for $1, let's say that the cost of making that ice cream was the same. Okay, should Ben & Jerry's lower their price to what Kirkland is? No, because Cherry Garcia and Ben & Jerry's has value on brand, and they can command that price, right? They've done this brand development. People are willing to spend more money for the Ben & Jerry's, regardless of what the cost is. So if you're getting that value, it doesn't matter what the cost is. If you can cut your cost by 25%, but customers still love your product, you don't have to lower the price, right? Look at Apple, right? They don't lower their price, they raise their price. Even though there's a ton of competition out there. So what's the value you're delivering? And Apple is not just delivering a product, they're delivering the brand, right? I look cool because I have my iWatch or whatever it's called. Find out what your customers are willing to pay, right? What's the value of the service that I'm delivering? Okay, and you can do that through customer surveys. You can do things like, try and get, a consumer report or an industry study. What's the value to a customer? If you have an accounting firm, what's the value to keeping a customer out of trouble with the IRS? That's worth a lot of money. So what's the value? How do you price on value? Offer different ways to consume. Okay, can you buy by the cone or can you buy by the quart? I don't have a lot of money today. All I have is $2 in my pocket. I'll buy a cone today. So, can you take the product or service you deliver it in different ways that makes it affordable and makes it more cost competitive? Promotion. Okay, let the world know who you are and what you have to offer. I love that Ben & Jerry's has this free cone day on April 14th. So if you go into one of their stores, you can get a free cone, right? Best promotion in the world. Like a puppy dog, right? Free ice cream cone, free puppy. It's all the best things you can have. Messaging and positioning, right? Unique selling proposition or value proposition. What makes you different from the other ice creams? Why is Cherry Garcia better than Haagen-Dazs? Right? Some of that's branding, some of that's taste, some of that's perception. But why is it better? Why is a Lexus better than a Toyota? Is it really? Or is it just the fact that you have an L on the front of your car and people are willing to spend more money on it? Channel. So how do you get the message out? Okay. Websites. You have to have a website. I mean, everything in the world has a website now. Social media, word of mouth. And so when I think of word of mouth, it's, hey, my friend told me about this great restaurant down the street, or hey, have you tried Cherry Garcia? It's the best ice cream in the world. And what's happened with social media is social media has taken the place of word of mouth. So if you hear it from me directly, or if you see on my Facebook site, hey, I just had this great bowl of Cherry Garcia, right? That's sort of word of mouth, and that's the power that social media has come up with. Then there's advertising, emails. We all get spam email, snail mail and flyers. If I got hey, come to Cherry Garcia's, with a postcard and says, get a free cone, I might be tempted to go do it. And then place, that's the last of the 4 Ps, okay? How do you sell/distribute your product or service to your customers? So Ben & Jerry's has stores. And what's interesting is a lot of those stores are franchises. It's a whole different business model, a whole way to make money. So Ben & Jerry's makes money by selling franchises. So it's not just selling ice cream anymore, it's the business of ice cream. Right? You can buy it at the grocery store, they have their catering truck, and yes, you can buy it on Amazon. You can get 8 pints dry ice packed, I think it was around $45. So if you can't make it to the grocery store, you can get it on Amazon. So how do you put all of this together? How do you really, take all of this and create, something that will help your business grow? And so the key to that is really putting together a marketing plan. And in that marketing plan, you'll put your 4 Ps. What's the product or service that I'm selling? What price do I want to have it at? How am I going to let people know about it? And then where am I going to deliver it, or how am I going to let people see what that product or service is? Do a SWOT analysis, another marketing buzzword which you may have heard. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats. This is a good way to look at, what's good about my company, what do I need to improve about my company, and then what are the opportunities that are out there in the market, and then what are the threats out there. So a threat might be competitors. An opportunity might be downtown development is coming into Auburn, and maybe I should open an ice cream store or buy a Ben & Jerry's franchise to open up, a block from here. That's an opportunity. And then market forces. Market forces are a little bit around opportunities, is what's going on in the market. So if I think about ice cream, it's fat-free, sugar-free, gluten-free, no GMOs. I mean, these are all the things that are going on, in the marketplace. So how do you react to that? So, I mean, I could always lose a few pounds, so I look at, Ben and Jerry's and go, boy, I'm going to gain weight if I eat that. Maybe I'll go buy the skinny cow variety today, and it'll, I won't gain as much weight. New competitors, new technology, new laws, what things are changing, like these, labeling GMOs, marijuana shops, so a lot of the laws changing, again, can change how you view your business. So these are all the things that you really want to put into your marketing plan. And then financials. I mean, it's great to do, all of this marketing work, but it has to make sense. What's your return on investment? So you need to understand, well, how much do I think I'm going to sell in a normal year? Okay, if I do some advertising, right? If I open up new channels of distribution, what's the model that I'm putting together that I will, gain more revenue from it? What new products can I add? And then, what revenue or profitability will I get from that? So it's a lot to cram in one session. Any questions? There are. I can't think. If you give me your contact information, I'll be happy to give you a couple. Yeah, there are some good books. All right. That's a great question. So the question was, how do I know that the marketing plan that I put together is a good one and works? The idea with a marketing plan is that it's active. Okay, you create the marketing plan, you do some of the activities, and you look at your results, your financial results, saying, well, I launched this new product. Did I sell any of it? I got a new channel partner. Did I make any money out of it? Go talk to some of your peers in the industry, go run that by them. When I do things like a SWOT analysis, assuming that there's more to your company than you, or if it's, is get your coworkers involved in it. Does this make sense? Look at some of the competitors that you have. I mean, if you actually dive on some of their websites, you may find their marketing plan. See what their marketing plans are. Look at their press releases. Okay, what initiatives are they taking, and are you taking similar initiatives, which could be a good thing, or if you're doing things that they're not, that could also be a good thing. So look at industry, look at competition, talk to your friends, family, get your workers involved, because sometimes even the people who know the most about your industry are typically the ones answering your emails or answering your telephone. They're in touch with your customers. Ask your customers. How would you like to be contacted? What new products would you like to see? That's the best way to do it. All right, thanks.
Thank you, Dan. Our next speaker is going to be Tina Ostrander, talking on the basics of launching a website. Tina is an instructor professor at Green River College in the IT department and software development. Tina?
Thank you. Good afternoon. Welcome. So as our introducer just said, I am a software developer instructor at Green River. I teach web development more than I teach web design. So I'm more involved in the making the website work than in the making it pretty. But I'm going to talk a little bit about the making it pretty today. I also do freelance web development on the side. So this is something that is a topic near and dear to my heart. So we're going to talk about two basic things today. Establishing your web presence, that's just getting out there on the internet, getting a website set up, and then how to market your website. It might seem strange to market your website, but your website is where you want to get the traffic to make the sell, to sell the product, the service. So if we can get more traffic to our website, then we can convert more customers, hopefully. So the first step in the process is to register a domain name. How many of you already have a website? Awesome. So how many of you had an easy time coming up with a domain name that wasn't already taken? One of you? Two? It can be really difficult to do. To get a domain name costs about $10 a year, and you want to keep them short because short is easy to remember and easy to type. So, under 10 characters is kind of ideal when you can. They can be up to 63 characters. You don't want to put any spaces or symbols or anything weird in your domain name. The domain name is the .com thing, right? When you go to cityofauburn.org or scubashop.com or whatever it is. So you want it to be something that's memorable. Domain names aren't case sensitive, so uppercase, lowercase doesn't matter. And the difficult part is trying to come up with a domain name that represents your business and represents who you are and what you do, your product or your service, that's also memorable and that's catchy and that's easy to remember and spell and type and that's not already taken. It can take a long time. My sister started a yoga studio a few weeks ago, and we spent hours and hours typing in different variations of different domain names, trying to find one that was available. And it can be really hard to do. If you can get your name in there, something unique, something distinctive, that can help set you apart. But it can be difficult to find a domain name. And the more you can put, we're going to talk a little bit about search engine optimization in a little bit, but if you can get a keyword, something that users would search on when they're searching for you, if you're a pizza parlor and you can get pizza in your domain name, or you're a scuba shop and you can get scuba in your domain name, that's going to help search engines to find you when people are searching for you. But again, that can make it more difficult to find something that's unique and distinctive. So it can be difficult to find a domain name. Once you do find one that you like that's available, grab it, because they can disappear at any moment. People will just simply buy up domain names so that they can resell them for more money. So if you find one you like that's available, just grab it. It's worth the $10 a year to lock it in, even if you end up not using it later on down the road. .com is preferred just because it's what people are used to. It's going to be a lot easier to find a domain name that's .net or .us or something. They're not as common, so they're more available. But when your customers go to find you, it will be harder for them to find you because they will assume that you're a .com because that's what 99% of the businesses out there are. So if you can find a .com, do so. Get feedback from others. Make sure that your friends and your family think your domain name is a good one, that it's memorable, easy to use, easy to type, easy to remember. And you may want to register multiple domains. A lot of companies, I don't know if you've noticed this, if you type alaskaairlines.com, it might redirect you to alaska.com, or Alaska Air will redirect you to alaska.com. So what will happen, a lot of businesses will buy up 2 or 3 domain names. They don't have 2 or 3 websites. They have one website. But what they do is they have 2 or 3 addresses that point to that website. So if you type in address A, address B, or address C, they all go to the same place. So you may want to consider that, particularly if you have several that are very similar, that you might want to market even potentially to different audiences. So that's always an option as well. The second step is picking a hosting provider. The hosting provider is where your website lives. Your website doesn't live on your own home computer. You don't want to do that. There are a million good reasons not to do that. You want to pay somebody to house your website. Okay? They will back it up. They will keep it secure. They will provide technical support if there's a problem. They will give you analytics so you can see how much traffic your website is getting, all sorts of things that they will do for you. Picking a hosting provider, there are a lot of options. It's kind of like picking your cell phone provider or picking your cable TV provider. A few of the popular ones that are out there, Bluehost, HostGator, DreamHost. There are a lot of others. These are just a few that I'm familiar with. Generally, you're looking at about $7 to $10 a month, which isn't a whole lot for a simple website. And each one of these, they have packages. And if you have a very huge website, it might cost you more than if you have a very small, simple website. And sometimes it depends on the amount of traffic that you're getting. But for your general sort of small to medium-sized business, you can pretty easily keep it under $15 a month. The next step is to build the site. And this is something I could probably spend 6 months talking about. It's no simple thing, but you've got several options when it comes to building your site. The first is to use what's called a site builder. These are tools that are out there on the internet. Some are free, some aren't, but they're basically web-based programs that allow you to create your own website. Wix, Weebly, Squarespace, Homestead, Google Sites. You go to the site, you subscribe or you sign up, and it gives you a template, or you get to pick from a dozen templates or 24 templates. You say, I like that template, and you go in and you change the title, and you add your pictures, and you add your text, and when you're all done and you're happy, you hit publish, and boom, there it is on the internet. They're fairly easy to use. You don't have to have a lot of technical expertise to use them. The downside is that once you build a site with the site builder, you're stuck with them. Okay, so if you build a site with a particular site builder and then you want to switch to something else, that's really impossible to do. You're really locked into a particular technology. And you also have very limited options. If you want to add features that are outside of that particular site builder's capabilities, for example, if the site builder doesn't allow you to do e-commerce, then you won't be able to do e-commerce. So you have to really research your options carefully, decide what you want in advance, and make sure that you find a site builder, if you're going to go that route, that supports everything you want. It's hard to do because you don't always know what you're going to need or want a year or 2 or 5 down the road. So if you decide 2 years or 3 years down the road that you need something that your site builder doesn't support, you really have to start over again. You can't just easily switch that to some other platform, some other tool. So that's kind of the pros and cons of those. They're very inexpensive typically. Some are free. The next step is deciding your taglines and keywords. This is tied to what we call search engine optimization, or SEO. It doesn't do any good to have a great website if no one can find it, right? I would almost say it's more important to be able to find your website than that you have a great website. Because if someone goes to Google you and you don't come up, you may as well not have a website, right? So making sure that your website is findable is really important. And so a lot of that comes down to what we call taglines and keywords. You want to have a short, simple, and this is a lot of what Dan was talking about, being able to differentiate your brand, what sets you apart, making sure that you have a phrase that is memorable so that people can find you easily. And then the keywords, and this is a difficult thing. There are people who are professionals who will help you generate simply lists of keywords. There's an art and a science to figuring out what people are searching for that they're not finding so that you can maximize that. If you try to maximize, if you try to search, if you try to rank for pizza, you're going to have a lot of competition, right? There are a lot of pizza places, establishments that are going to be trying to compete with you. So trying to come up with keywords that will get people to your site where you don't have too much competition but that is relevant to your business can be a difficult thing. But for starters, you want to think about, when someone sits down at their keyboard to Google me, what are the sorts of things they're likely to type in? Are they going to type scuba? Are they going to type diving? For yoga, am I going to, if I just type yoga, I'm going to have a lot of different options. What's going to differentiate me? What keywords can I use that are going to set me apart? So once you have those taglines and those keywords figured out, you want to build your site around those. So if you can get those into your domain name, your .com, that's awesome. You want them to be in your title. The title is at the very, very top, in the very top bar. That's your title. You want your keywords to be in your title. You want your keywords to be in the page header. So on the page itself, in the page header, you want your keywords to be in there if possible. You want your keywords, the things you want people to find you on, to be in what's called your meta keywords and your meta description. Those are things that people don't see when they look at your page. How many of you have Googled a phrase and you click on the result and you can't find the phrase that you searched for anywhere in that page? Doesn't that drive you nuts? It's because the phrase is in the meta keywords and the meta description. It's hidden, basically, in the code for the page, and you don't see it when you look at the page, but it's hidden in the page. And it actually affects your rankings. So it's a way of describing to the search engines what your page is about, what the keywords are, and what the descriptions are that you want your page to rank for. The most important thing on here for search engine optimization is quality content. Google is really smart. Anybody can type anything they want into titles and headers and meta tags, and that all helps and it's important. But Google is smart enough to know that if your website content hasn't changed in 3 months or 6 months or a year, you're not going to rank very well. If your content, if you have very little content, you have maybe an About Us paragraph and a Contact Me and that's it, you're not going to rank very well. If you have good quality content, I don't know if you've noticed this, but Wikipedia comes up at the top of just about any search on anything that's in Wikipedia. It's because they have constantly changing, constantly evolving, rich content on whatever topic that you're searching for. Google knows that. Google can tell how much content you have, how often it changes, and even to some extent what kind of quality it is. One of the ways they gauge quality is through what are called backlinks. Backlinks are links to your site. So if you can get anyone out there to link to your website, that helps your rankings substantially. Okay? So if there are scuba schools that can link to the scuba site, that's going to help the rankings for that site. So Google takes into account how many links there are. And the assumption is that if there are a lot of links to this site, then it must be a good site. There must be good content there, right? And then there are people who try to get around that by just paying random people to link to websites to increase the rankings. So do be careful. If you do anything that's considered black hat SEO, things that are illegitimate, things that are against the rules, Google rules, you get blacklisted by Google, and it's really hard to get off that list. Once you're blacklisted, you don't rank at all. You don't show up anywhere. You can click the next button for the rest of eternity in the Google search results, and you'll never find your website. So don't do anything sneaky. If you're not sure what you're doing, hire an expert. You're probably not going to do anything illegal without knowing you're doing something sneaky. People will try to do things like put a big white text header on a white background so that it's a header and Google will think it's important, but nobody will actually see it. Those kind of things will get you in a lot of trouble. But you kind of have to know what you're doing. You're probably not going to do any of that kind of stuff accidentally. Designing the website is where you actually decide what the look and feel of the website is going to be. And you don't have to be a web designer per se to recognize a good design. Which website do you like better here, the one on the left or the right? The one on the right. So the one on the right has less text. Generally, text scares people. Nobody wants to sit and read, unless it's Wikipedia. Most people don't want to sit and read paragraphs of text. The one on the right has a very clear, what we call a call to action. You want your website to have a call to action. Sign up now. Click here to subscribe. Donate here, whatever it is, whatever you want people to do. Make it really clear what you want them to do. And then just, have a website that's clean, easy to navigate, easy to read. There's a great, the formatting got messed up on this. It says you don't need to be a web designer to recognize awful. If you're ever in the mood for some entertainment, there's a website out there. I think it's called uglywebsites.com. And it can be really fun to just scroll through and look at the really, really ugly websites out there. But my advice is if you're not a designer, don't. Just either find a professional or find a template. There are a lot of free templates out there for web design. Or find a website you really like that's not somebody who competes directly with you, and modify it and make it your own. Change the colors, change the font, change the images, and customize it to make it your own. Responsive is a really big thing these days. This wasn't even a word I'd ever heard of in regard to websites 5 years ago. But most people these days don't look at your website on a full-size monitor on a desktop computer. They look at your website on a smartphone or an iPad or some sort of mobile device. So I know you've all had the experience of going to a website on your phone and you're like scrolling, and you're trying to click on things and you can't. It drives you crazy, right? Responsive sites are the ones that scale well. So you can look at it on any size device and it still looks good. So this is an example. It's a little bit hard to see here, but on a full-size screen, you see my menu goes all the way across here. And then, oops, how do I go backwards? Scroll back. On a small device, my menu collapses. You guys have seen this on some of the responsive websites now. When you pick a template, if you pick a template or you pick a design for your website, make sure it's responsive, and that will be advertised. This is a responsive design. This is a responsive template. You don't want to design a beautiful website and then find out that 90% of your customers don't like it or can't use it because it doesn't scale well to different size devices. The next one is developing the content. The content, again, has a lot to do with your SEO, your search engine optimization. You want to make sure that you have good quality text. Whatever you do, don't have typos on your website. Make sure that your text has been proofread and proofread again and proofread again and edited, and that it's good quality text. Make sure that you have good images, good quality images. Not too big because they're slow to load, and not too small because they can be grainy. And you can test that by pulling it up on different devices. If it loads quickly on a mobile device, you're probably good, right? And then typically you have a home page, or what's called a landing page. You have an about us, who are you, your services, what you do, what you sell, and then some directions and contact information. Another thing having to do with SEO is when you put your address on your web page, it's usually in the footer, make sure that you copy the address exactly the way it's in Google Places or Google Maps. Because when people are looking for you, if those addresses sync up, it's going to help Google to find your page. And when people click on your address in your footer, it's going to help the Google map to find the right place. So if you can sync those up, it's going to help you. And then the big question, do I do it myself or do I hire a pro? The advantage of doing it yourself, I should say the disadvantage of doing it yourself, is it takes a lot of time. Even if you use a site building tool, it can take a lot of your time. And there are a lot of tools out there that make it easier, but you ultimately have to ask yourself where your time is the most valuable. Do I want to spend 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 6 months developing my own website and learning how to do that and learning how to optimize it and all of those things? Or do I want to do what I'm good at, focus on my business, and hire someone to do this stuff? WordPress is another tool that's out there that allows you to create websites fairly easily, although if you don't have any background at all on the technology side, even that can be a little bit challenging. And then developing it from scratch, that's the hardest. And that's where you want something really custom or with a lot of really unique functionality. If you want someone to be able to register for scuba classes and send out reminders periodically and do emails every time someone signs up, those sorts of functionality things, then you're probably going to have a hard time doing that from scratch. Hiring it out, the downside of that, of course, is that it costs money. It can cost anywhere between $500 and $5,000 to hire out a website web development. And again, it depends on what you want, how many pages you want. Depends on how much of the work you've done in advance in terms of knowing exactly what you want. If you go to a web designer / developer with a plan, here are the pages I want, here's the text I want on each page, here are the pictures I want on each page, here are a few designs that I like, here's the functionality that I need, it's going to help a lot. If you just go to someone and say, I need a website, that's going to be a very long process of them trying to figure out how to give you the results that you need. Make sure you get referrals. I've heard so many sad stories of people spending hundreds or thousands of dollars to pay out to a web developer or a web designer and then not getting anything or not getting what they wanted. So make sure that you get referrals and check the referrals if you do decide to hire out the work. Generally speaking, you're looking at about $100 plus a year for hosting and a domain name. Maintenance can be anywhere from free to $240 a month. Maintenance is going to include site updates, backups, security patches, all that kind of stuff, making sure your website doesn't get hacked. If you decide to do updates, upgrades, backups, maintenance, that can be sometimes rolled into the maintenance. So you're looking at generally 100 to 340 plus a year for just the site, not including the development, but once you've got it up and running. So that's it for the establishing a website. The rest of this I'm going to go through super duper fast because our last speaker is going to talk more about this. But marketing your website, getting traffic to your website, there are a billion ways of doing this. This is just 6 of the more common ones. The first one is advertising the site. You can advertise on Google. You've all seen Google ads, right? You type in something and a bunch of ads come up on the right, and there's some ads that come up in the search results. You basically pay per click. So you pay every time someone clicks on your ad. There are a couple of different models for this, but you can advertise on Google, you can advertise on Facebook, you can advertise on Twitter, you can advertise on LinkedIn, you can set up a YouTube channel. QR codes are those things you scan. I don't know, those are controversial. Some people think they are helpful and some people don't, but and then you can advertise through blogs. You can have your own blog, or you can post on other people's blogs and try to get traffic to your site that way. So a lot of different ways of advertising via the web, and that's just a few of them. E-commerce, if you're selling something, you can sell on eBay, Amazon, Etsy, WordPress. You can have your own e-commerce plugin in your own website, as long as your setup allows that. Make sure, again, if you're doing e-commerce, make sure you're using you're either hiring someone who's reputable or you're using a tool that's been well established, because you don't want to do e-commerce wrong, right? You're collecting people's credit cards. You don't want to do that wrong. You want to make sure that you're using a good what's called a good shopping cart. Social media. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, all of these things can be used to generate traffic for your site. A lot of folks will post links to their websites on Facebook, and those get shared, of course, and it's all designed to bring traffic back to your site. Starting a forum, this is really specific to specific types of businesses, but if you have the type of business that would lend itself toward a discussion forum, this can be a really good way to generate new content, which helps your SEO, and to drive traffic to your site. And then collecting email addresses. If you have a way to collect email addresses on your website, a subscribe or a sign up here, then you can use those to send out coupons, send out specials, send out offers, and that can all generate more traffic to your website as well. And then making videos. If you have, again, it depends on the type of business, but cooking videos can drive traffic to a restaurant website, or knitting videos can send traffic to a knitting website. YouTube, I just learned this recently, next to Google is the most popular search engine. When people want to find stuff on the internet, if they don't go to Google, they go to YouTube. So if you have something that you can make a video about, even just a 30-second video, if people find that on YouTube, they watch it, and then usually at the end of the video, there's a click here to visit our website, and that's a way of generating traffic back to your site. So super quick overview. There's a lot here, obviously, we could talk about, but there are a lot of ways to market your website once you have it created. And the more traffic you can generate there, the better. So do I sit down? Do I stay here? Okay, questions? I know, I'm sorry. That's a lot of information.
Good information, though. Thank you. Specifically, the last thing you said about videos. I'm looking at adding videos to my website as we speak. And my host, gal,
What is your business?
A karate school.
Karate.
Yes.
Excellent.
So she's talking about using Vimeo.
Yes.
Didn't occur to me to do YouTube. So YouTube over Vimeo. I don't know anything about Vimeo. That was your first suggestion.
YouTube is a really very popular place.
Right.
And so, yeah, and there's no reason you can't put a video in more than one place, right?
Okay.
Once you've made it. YouTube is free.
Okay. So this is a weird question. Are they going to find me on YouTube and go to my website, or are they going to be on my website and go to my YouTube? Or both?
Both.
Okay.
And that's good.
Okay.
That's good. So your website can drive traffic to your YouTube channel.
Right.
A channel would be where you have multiple videos, right?
Okay.
So you might have different demos, different levels, different types of martial arts, whatever. And then the videos, if people find you on YouTube, then you can have a link back to your website. If you'd like to sign up for a free demo class, or you want to sign up for a mailing list, click here. That can generate traffic back to your website again.
Okay.
So they can feed each other.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Art and science keywords. It actually sounds like a book title.
Yeah.
But I was
Probably
wondering.
is.
Yeah, I was wondering if you had any other resources that you could give, because I'm a YouTuber. I go on there and look up stuff, or any books or articles or anything that you could provide about how to pick effective keywords or anything like that.
Google has a tool. Google has a keyword search tool. Just Google keyword search, and it'll come up. The trick is learning how to use that tool effectively. And there is some documentation that comes with it that you can read. But they've made it harder. Google used to be much more transparent. You could look at any search terms and see exactly what the traffic was. They've hidden a little bit more of that. So that's where a lot of it is a little bit of a guessing game. People who do SEO for a living, search engine optimization for a living, they do a lot of guessing at what Google's going to do next. Google keeps changing its rules, keeps changing its algorithm. The step-by-step instructions that it uses to figure out what to show you when you do a search. And so, yeah, there's a little bit of a mystery to it, but that tool is still helpful in spite of the fact that you're only getting a little bit of, you're not getting all of the information. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tina. Our next speaker, Cindy Gonzalez, is a local business owner here in Auburn on Main Street. She has the fastest growing scuba tour and retail business in the Northwest. Time is going to speak to us about her use of social media. Thank you.
So I don't come here from a marketing instruction background or college instruction background. I come here as somebody who decided they were going to teach scuba right before the recession started. Not a good time. That's just my off advice to you. So I had no money, so I couldn't hire a marketing person. I had a website in place, but it had absolutely nothing. It was about this dream scuba t-shirt line I was going to build. Had nothing to do with scuba instruction. I don't know how to build a website. I didn't have the money to have it rebuilt. I was able to go in and figure out how to change some stuff. So my first scuba operation was called Girl Diver Scuba because it was going to be a t-shirt line for girls. So I started advertising on there. Now this is the height of the recession. Starting into the recession and like peaking and then coming out of the recession. And during that time, I've built a pretty amazing business. And entirely grassroots. And social media was so key to all of that. I was doing Facebook nonstop because I had nothing else to do. I'm sitting in my apartment hoping that somebody will want some scuba and it's going to come across my email. So what I'm going to show you is today's social media. The social media I used back then has totally changed. And so for me, I keep up to date every single day because every single day something changes. So social media, the first thing we need to look at, that way. So who's on? To know who's on social media, everybody's on social media. And the people who aren't on social media, they're still looking at the phone book, and so go ahead and put the ad in, I guess, if you want those people. But most people are on social media, and that's how they're going to find your business. But you need to know who you're looking for. And we're going to talk about who uses each source of social media. Where are they? How do I get to them? I want to get into their living rooms at 8 o'clock at night. I want them to buy stuff from me at 11 o'clock at night while I'm sleeping. That's my goal. And how do I get the most for my money? I didn't have any money. A lot of small business owners don't have a huge marketing budget that they can go out and spend in advertising. So instead of money, we give time. But we only have so much time as small business owners, and we don't even have enough of that. So we want to get the most out of every single minute. Today's world is mobile. Most people are accessing their Facebook, their Twitter, their Pinterest from mobile devices. They're sitting in a meeting scrolling through Facebook on their phone. Most people are not doing it from the PC. So realize you're getting people while they're on the bus. You're getting people while they're sitting in a restaurant. So you want to make sure that you're hitting them in short little spurts. In the mobile world, there's lots of apps, and so you can download apps that can make it mobile for you as well. I just returned today from Boston, this morning, or from New Jersey. This morning on my Facebook, there's a post, Manhattan in the morning, that I took right as I'm flying over Manhattan with the sun coming up. And so then I talked about all the places that Scuba Shop's going to be today, where all of the different members from Scuba Shop's team is going to be today, because we're all over the country today. And so that was my post this morning that I did from the airplane flying over Manhattan, because that's how mobile everything is. And it was all from apps that put it straight onto my Pages manager in Facebook. Smartphones, that's what you're going to be posting on. Insta, selfie, hashtag. These are all words that came about within the last 5 years. 5 years ago, if I said, hey, have you ever taken a selfie? What's a selfie? Have you ever seen this? It's a hashtag. You'd be like, no, that's a number sign or a pound sign. No, it's a hashtag. So there's a whole new world that's revolving around social. Facebook is a new website. People will come to your Facebook page before they come to your website when they want to do business with you. So your Facebook better show who you are as a business. And that's the power of Facebook, is you can change who you are. A website, it's one and done. Now, I have a website that I can work at, and I can change some things on it. I can't change the whole face of it, though. With my Facebook, it can change every day. So it's constantly growing, just like your business is. Business versus personal. So this is an area that people either love or hate. I'm very, very public. So my personal Facebook page is an extension of everything I do business-wise. My personal Facebook page, you're never going to see me have a bad day. Very rarely you're going to see what I eat for lunch. I'm very inspirational on my personal website, because that, again, goes back to my business persona. I want to inspire people to go into the water. I want to inspire people to be bigger than themselves. So that's what my personal page is. Now, not everybody wants to do that. Most people want their personal Facebook page to be so that their friends and family can see their kids. So you need to decide what that differentiation is between your business and your personal. Your business page is the personal page for your business. So you want that to be a character. You want that to have a personality. There's a local scuba shop in the area that posts the daily tides. Every day they have the tide chart. That's their post. If I want a tide chart, I'm going to go to a tide chart. I really don't know anything about their business, because all I know is that the tides are coming in and they're going out today, every day. So really make it something where they enjoy you and they get a sense of who you are. Edge rank. Edge rank is the toughest part for a business page on Facebook. Edge rank decides who gets to see your post. Now, with a business page, with a personal page, most of your friends are going to see what you're doing, depending on how many friends they have. On your business page, if you have less than 50,000 fans, 6% will get to see what you're doing. 6%. But wait, I've got 1,000 people who said that they like me. Yeah, well, 6% are going to get to see your average post. Now, if you go and get a lot of fans, once you get over 50,000, that number drops to 2.5%. So edge rank is kind of the nemesis of Facebook. While it's designed to help us weed out what we don't want to see, a lot of times we're going to miss the stuff we really do want to see. So we're going to talk about so for that, what you want to do is you want to have your friends and your customers like posts. If they it's almost like opting into to an email list. If they like stuff, if they comment on it, it's going to appear in their news feeds. So the reach has lowered. Facebook used to be easy to reach people. Facebook, though, they're a for-profit business. So they figured out if we can make the organic reach, those people who will just naturally see a post, if we can decrease that to 6%, well, that business is still going to want to have all their fans and all their customers see it. They'll pay for it. So now we have paid reach. So paid reach, what you're going to do is you're going to boost your post. And this can be anywhere, and it'll show you the numbers. If you boost this post for $5, you're going to reach 1.1 to 2.2 thousand fans. You're like, well, this is kind of an outgoing marketing. My customers don't need to see this. Okay, so then you click for your demographics. Then maybe I choose that I want Maple Valley, Kent, and Auburn. I want only females between 18 and 24 to see this post. Those are the people I want to attract in because I'm going to have a jewelry sale. And it's going to be kind of a hippie boho type jewelry. And these are the ones I think that are going to like it. So I click that, and that's who that shows up on their pages. These are people who don't even know me. I've had incredibly good results with outgoing marketing on Facebook. Pictures speak volumes, but money doesn't need words. Make sure that when you're doing your promotions, it's not a whole bunch of buy, 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 buy. Don't tell them, I've got this for sale. You should come in and buy this. You want pictures that show who you are. They know you're a business. They know you sell stuff. If it's not a promotional sale, make sure you're including them in on just who you are. Paid fans, likes, and ads. So paid fans, this is another thing that happens in this industry. In the social media world, if you let the ego get to you, people will put fans up there. I can buy fans. I can buy 1,000 fans for my Facebook page for $10. Now, if I want to prove to my competitors that I'm the fastest growing scuba shop in the Northwest, I go out and I buy 100,000 fans. Okay, remember that 6% of the people who are actually going to see my posts? Now all of my fans live in South Africa. So they have Facebook farms. They're located in South Africa, Serbia, and over in Southeast Asia. One of the companies that I've done work with before, they did some, behind my back, I didn't approve it, they did some paid fan purchases. 20,000 of our fans live in South Africa where only 43% of the population has flush toilets. I just don't think that they're actually doing business with this company. So you want to make sure you're not ever succumbing to letting your ego take over your numbers. Numbers mean nothing. It's who it's actually reaching. And then grammar. Super important on Facebook, of all places. People on Facebook can absolutely be grammar Nazis. Make sure your spelling is correct. Make sure your sentence is correct. And make sure you're using proper English on Facebook unless you're a rap star. If you're a rap star, then speak to the people the way that you should speak to the people. But know your audience. Also, don't try to get too, if you are using different languages. Let's say you're trying to reach a Hispanic population as well as an English-speaking population. Be really careful with that, because when you start posting in Spanish, EdgeRank is going to jump in and decide who sees your posts now, and you may lose all of your English reading audience. So that's kind of Facebook 2015. Next, YouTube. This was mentioned. It is the second largest search engine on YouTube. We've all heard, well, if you want to learn anything, you can learn it on YouTube. YouTube is very much a learning channel. If I want to learn to surf, I can learn it on YouTube. If I want to learn how to change the starter in my car, I can learn it on YouTube. I can learn web programming. I could probably learn how to do a heart operation if I really wanted to, although I don't suggest that that's the best place to get your heart operations from. So educate. If you're going to make videos on YouTube, either make them entertaining or educational. Think to yourself, what is the question my customer base wants to know? And you make a video. Now, this doesn't mean you go out and buy a $10,000 camera. You've got a video camera on your phone. That's as simple as it can get. You can take a video on your phone, post it on YouTube. You might have to make a few copies of it and cuts and redos. Don't make it too exciting. Don't make it too professional and too polished, because people on YouTube want real life. The whole thing with social is we want real. We don't want Manhattan. We want real life people telling us stuff. So if you say a couple, and it's okay, because these are real people that are watching it. So think about, what are they going to try to search for? What are they going to want to learn? Demonstrate stuff. This is how you tie a fly. This is how you do this kick in karate. Perfecting this kick. Anything like that. YouTube can go viral, and we're never really sure when it's going to. So you might create that next viral video without meaning to, and once it goes viral, the contacts you'll get from it are huge. YouTube also helps you rank on YouTube. If somebody's looking for, how do I tie flies, and you happen to be local to their area, because Google knows where we all live, you're local to their area, that video will come up, because if you ask almost anything, it's going to put up a couple YouTube videos. You want to be one of those videos. People are more likely to go to the videos to find out something than they are to go to print. Instagram. It's hip to be square. Instagram is the fastest growing social media outlet there is. In last year, between March and December, it grew 50%. Last year, it had 150 million users. Today, it has 300 million users per month. 75 million users per day. Instagram. Incidentally, my picture over Manhattan also went onto my Instagram page. So 41% of the users are between 16 and 24. It's a younger audience. While Facebook is hitting all demographics, grandmothers are looking for pictures of their grandchildren. This is definitely a younger audience. With Instagram, it's pretty easy for searching. Hence, with Instagram, that's where the hashtags came from. So you take a picture, whatever that picture is. So my picture today was flying over Manhattan. So I hashtag travel, hashtag Manhattan, hashtag scuba, because ultimately that's what I want people to come to. My name on my Instagram is Girl Diver Scuba, building that part of the company. So I hashtag scuba, I hashtag New York City. I also hashtag NYC. What happens on Instagram is that they'll search the hashtags, they'll follow you, they'll connect with their friends by saying @. So if I want to get a hold of my daughter, I'll hashtag @Kylie, and that'll alert her that she should look at this picture. And then they will repost. There's actually apps that you can repost other people's stuff and give them credit for it. This is what an Instagram looks like. So in the first column, you've got a picture. Picture's worth 1,000 words. And on Instagram, that's all you get is just a feed of pictures with a little tiny short description. So in that picture, they'll hashtag whatever it is in that picture they want. So maybe they hashtag outdoors, they hashtag hiking, they hashtag backpacking, and maybe it's a tent manufacturer and they hashtag the name of their tent. So if anybody goes to look for outdoors that day, which is in the second column. So in the second column, if I want to go search for something, I can either search for the most popular pictures, or I can search by hashtag. So I'm just sitting on a subway in the middle of New York City, and I want to be outdoors, like where there's trees and rocks and stuff. So I hashtag outdoors, and up comes all the pictures of outdoors that day. And it'll show it was posted 1 minute ago, it was posted 3 minutes ago. And so that's how you're finding more followers. The third column there, that shows your own personal feed, and so that's what's happened. So-and-so has liked your picture, so-and-so has commented on your picture, and so-and-so is following you. I will tell you social media is a little stalkerish. You have followers, you have fans, you like people, you want people to like you. It's really kind of a weird world when you think about it. Because the goal with Instagram is to get as many followers as you can. So you can have, I guess, your own little following cult. So they want to see your pictures. And then the very last one, this is your own personal page. Now, if I'm following somebody on Instagram, I want to know who I'm following. So I click on that. You get a very short description, but for me, that's where my website goes. Because if they're interested in me from my pictures, then they're going to want to know more about me, and the click-through rate on websites on Instagram is huge. Because that's the only way they can actually reach you as a real person is to go to your website. So it's a huge return there. And again, you're giving your time, but it's worth it. Twitter. Twitter is no longer number 2 or 3. Like they've fallen behind Instagram. More people are on Instagram than are on our Twitter. If you are a pop star, if you are a politician, or if you're a restaurant, Twitter is a really good place to hang out. Restaurants, what people on Twitter are looking for, they're either looking for gossip, that would be the rock star, the politician, or they're looking for deals. So if you're a restaurant and you regularly tweet 20% off today at lunch, if you mention this, that's going to drive people into your restaurant. But it's definitely a deal seeker for businesses. You can put other stuff on there, and there's ways you can auto feed. I put posts onto Twitter every day, although I never touch Twitter. So my Twitter is auto fed from my Facebook page. My Facebook automatically feeds my Twitter. When I post on Facebook, my Twitter tweets, and I do nothing. The response I get from Twitter is nothing as well. You want to speak correctly on Twitter, but you want to speak in Twitter language, 140 characters. And so you want to make sure you're using the right tags, and there's ways to learn how to speak tweeting. And know your client base. Again, if your client base, if you're trying to reach people for knitting and your client base is 35 and over, Twitter may not be the best way to reach them. I will say Twitter's come a long ways, though. You can put pictures and things on Twitter. Before it was just newsfeed. Now they have pictures, and you can really kind of splash your page. Whether you're using this on Twitter or using it on Facebook, make sure that your site is vibrant. Use vibrant pictures wherever you can, because in any space that people are on social media, there's a lot of drab. The brighter and more crisp you can make any pictures on there, really think about the pictures you're putting up there. Edit pictures before you put them up. They probably aren't coming out just perfect, and there's editing apps for every phone. Next, blog. This is one of the definitely most powerful things you can do. When you either have your website built for you, or if you build your own, you want a blog space on your website. Blogging started out with people sharing stories and sharing their personal life or whatever, but Google likes blogs. You know that new content she was talking about? That's blogs. You don't have to change the whole front of your website every day, but if you put up a new blog post every day, Google sees that as news. Those are little news flashes. So if you aren't going to write press releases and things like that, you can write your own little press releases every single day on your blog. You can also put on your blog how-tos, and think again, what is your customer asking for? And it's huge quality content for Google. Last year, we decided that we were going to really focus on creating a repair area in our scuba shop. The year before, we did less than $500. This past year, we did $50,000 in repairs. And I credit that 50% of that was because of one blog post that I wrote. One. I'm not really sure. Again, with Google, it's all kind of guessing. For whatever reason, Google has taken this blog post and it loves it. We now rank, if you put dry suit repair in Seattle, we rank above dry suit repair places that are far larger than us. We're number 1 for that search term. We have dry suits being sent to us from Alaska, Montana, Oregon, Idaho, all over the Northwest because of one blog post. Now, the other things I do with my blog posts is I can write a blog post, say I'm writing a blog post on diving in the Puget Sound. So I write the blog post, then I link my Facebook with the blog post. So I put the blog post on my Facebook, which means if they actually want to read the blog post, they have to go back to my website. Facebook will take them back there. At that point, if they want to dive in the Puget Sound, they can sign up for a class because they're in the right space. Now, I also take that blog post and I can then take the picture that I'm going to put in my blog post, again, making it beautiful, and I'll take that over and put it on Instagram with a link of how to get back to the blog post. One blog post, and you can share it in all these different spaces, the way it's supposed to be shared in each space. You're going to reach a different audience in each space. For that blog post, if I'm trying to reach a female, I'm going to go to this site. Not that men have never been on Pinterest, because I do see some of my male friends on Facebook have joined, but I will tell you, Pinterest is made for women. You ask a woman, oh my gosh, that is an amazing color. Where did you get that? Oh, I Pinterested it. So Pinterest is the learning spot for women. It's how we select our clothes. It's how we redecorate our homes. It's where we go to find the best 4th of July picnic recipe. It's a how-to site. It's for our dreams. It's a place that we post, and again, it's very picture-rich. We post pictures of things we want to do. This is the house we want to live in. This is the bathtub we want to buy for the bathroom remodel we're going to do. And the reason that we post all these pictures is because what do the pictures do? They link back to the source. So if I'm going to redecorate my bathroom, and I want this faucet that I saw on Pinterest, that's probably the first place I go. In fact, I'm redesigning my website using Pinterest, and which my web guy is kind of a little weird about. So, but if I'm gonna redecorate my bathroom, and I saw something on Pinterest I like, well, it's gonna be a Kohler faucet. That Kohler faucet, if you click on it, it will link back to the supplier of the Kohler faucet where I can buy it. So I'm going to post that on one of my Pinterest boards so that when I actually get around to doing my bathroom, it's easy for me to find where I can get that. So that supplier maybe put that up there 6 months ago, posted it. I've stored it. Now I click on it, I go buy it from them, and they've made money on something that they did 6 months ago, and all they did was post a picture. So that's what Pinterest is. It really reaches women. And we buy off of it, we learn off of it, we share it, and women will go look at each other's Pinterest boards for ideas. So if you have any female customers, that's where you definitely want to be hitting Pinterest. Very high click-through rate. This is what a Pinterest page looks at. So you can see on this page that I can pick out my wedding dress. And this is just a random feed, and this is mostly for the men in the audience that have probably never seen this. This is a wedding dress, so if I'm picking out wedding dresses, or maybe I like that bouquet, so I'm going to save that to give it to my florist. There's desserts. There's almost anything you could possibly want to find on Pinterest. I can build log houses on there. I can build container homes. Everything is on there, and that's how we store it. All right, any questions? Yes? I didn't mention it, did I? Google Plus is a space that is, Google Plus users use it, but they haven't been able to go over there permanently. There's no way to link to Google Plus from anything. So again, it's how much time do you have in your day? I work on social media, both for myself and for a few clients, 5 hours a day. The last thing I have time to do is do anything over on Google+. So it hasn't been a driving force in social media yet. It's trying to be. Other questions? Is Pinterest a sign up just like you'd get email? Yes, kind of. It's just like any other Facebook or app. You're going to go in there and you're going to register your username, put down your email, and then you're going to start pinning. And that's what you do. They'll give you a feed of pictures and you just start pinning stuff you like. And then you go, well, I wonder what they have for caves in Bermuda, because I'm taking a trip to Bermuda. Well, you put in caves for Bermuda, and then up comes pictures that people have posted about caves in Bermuda, and they'll usually link back to the websites of the tour guides that are in Bermuda. So you can do, that's how you work with Pinterest. And then you can upload your own pictures showing karate competitions or whatever. Other questions?
Two things, and I'm not sure if it's for one of you. About half of my student base is under 18, so I have concern about posting pictures
Absolutely.
on Facebook or anything.
Absolutely.
So I don't. I have some videos that are currently linked to my website that are password protected. So I got all excited about the whole YouTube thing for a second a while ago, and then I realized almost everything that I want to post is proprietary. I'm not going to teach a technique that is specific to my school for everybody on YouTube to watch.
Exactly. So, and I'm not going to teach somebody how to do scuba either. What I am going to do is I'm going to show people having fun. If you have students that are under 18 that you want to have in pictures, because there's pictures of kids all over the internet, all you have to do is have the parents sign a consent waiver. Most parents, as long as they don't have somebody creepy in their lives, are happy to do that because as soon as it goes up, they get to share it with their friends. And that's what you want. You want, when little Johnny gets his next belt, you want to be able to post all the belts up on YouTube or up on Facebook because those parents are going to be sharing it with all their friends and tagging themselves in it because they aren't going to tag their 8-year-old in it. They'll tag their own name in it so then all their friends see, oh, well, I want my little James to go to a karate school too. I didn't know that's where little Johnny was going. So yeah, just get the parents' permission.
A newsletter that I publish every month for students. It's 4 pages, and I even keep all of the personal information on one page that I don't put on our website. Any belt promotion, birthdays, names of any sort.
Oh yeah, you shouldn't put that on websites.
Yeah, I'm real concerned about releasing that sort of information.
Yeah, and that's a good point. On any social media, including your own personal pages, you want to make sure that everything that needs to be private is private. We just certified a law enforcement officer. And so I put the picture up, and if I say the student's name, it's always first name. This guy, I didn't even put his name up. I just said, these are the students who got certified this last weekend. Look at how happy they are. And there was a guy underneath that he asked, what's this guy's name? What's this scuba diver's name? And I thought, well, that's a dumb question. I'm not giving you that. So yeah, no sharing of personal information. However, you can do another copy of your newsletter with just the stuff out, and you can post your newsletter to your Facebook so that anybody coming to your Facebook page can find out all of the things that are happening in your newsletter.
You don't have to share all your classes, but sharing some stuff is really valuable. I'm a programmer, and I wanted to learn a certain technique online. I found a series of classes on YouTube. I started watching. I got to about the 5th class, and I couldn't find any more. And what they had done was they just put the first 5 up free out of about 20, and I was convinced at that point that I was ready. I went ahead and spent the money to sign up for the rest of them, and looked at the rest of their content because they'd shared enough information to prove that they were valuable, and they'd hooked me. Yeah, so I wouldn't be afraid to put some of your stuff up there because that's if people like what you're sharing, that's how they'll share it with others, and how you'll get new students.
And I have a feeling that if you were to post some things of your kids doing different moves or whatever, I just have a feeling you offer way more than you could possibly put into 30 seconds. And so 30 seconds is a highlight. I can show people scuba diving all day long. Doesn't mean anybody can look at that video and figure out how to scuba dive. So just show that they're having fun. That's the biggest thing, is show the fun. Other questions? Thanks.
Thank you, Cindy. That was very, very good. At this time, if anybody has a question for one of the other speakers, possibly, that's popped in your head since they spoke, it gets very confusing. Like you said, you spent 5 hours a day on what you do. There are dashboards available that can make this much easier, where you can link your website, you can link your social media, and that's where you can set up the automatic post. So maybe somebody might want to take a minute and just talk about the use of online dashboard control of a lot of these things.
Yeah, we use one called Hootsuite. Hoot like an owl. Do you use that? Suite, S-U-I-T-E. And It's wonderful. You can connect it to Twitter, LinkedIn, Pinterest, I think, Instagram, Google Plus, I think,
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera. And you can schedule posts. So I can say, okay, I want this post to go to all my feeds at 5 o'clock tonight. And I want this next post to go to just these 3 feeds at 5 o'clock tomorrow night. And I want this next post just to go to one feed at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. And so what I used to do is I'd spend, Saturday mornings scheduling all the posts for the next 3 weeks, because I don't have 5 hours a day to do this stuff, right? So I'd schedule all my posts for the next 2 or 3 weeks, and then I didn't have to think about it for a while. So I don't know of others, but
That's the only one. That's the only one I. That's one I use as well as Hootsuite. Yeah.
yes, it
Yeah.
does. It shows you, and you can actually preview all, and it's free.
So there is some sense of being able to make some organization out of it and make it simpler and be more of an effective tool for your business. I want to also, again, thank the Mayor Backus and the Auburn City Council for their ongoing support of this programming and allowing us to continue to bring it along. I also want to thank the Auburn Downtown Association and the Auburn Area Chamber of Commerce. They help us promote these events and help with content and are there to work with you also and help you. So if you have any other questions, our speakers will stay around for a little while afterwards, and you can do some one-on-one if you would like at that time. Thank you again for coming, and we hope to see you next month. Thank you.